It is crazy to think that August is already here and another school year is just around the corner. A little crazy for us because Mia is going to be starting her very first year of school in just a few weeks, but we thought we can commemorate it by talking about 529 savings plans, especially since statistics are showing us that 67% of Americans don't even know these plans exist, and only 18% of Americans are actually using 529 plans for their education goals. So with that, we're going to talk about the tax benefits of using a 529 plan, the flexibility that comes along with using a 529 plan, but also the considerations that you should have as you're going about choosing the right plan for your strategy. Now, we're all about maximizing your keep at the end of the day, and one of the best ways to do that is to manage your tax exposure. Now, one of the best things about 529 plans is the contributions that go into a plan can grow tax-free as long as they're used for qualified education expenses. Now, some states will even offer a state income tax deduction if you're using a state-sponsored 529 plan. So kind of the best of both worlds when it comes to tax benefits, both on the front end for the contributions potentially, but also on the long side for tax-free growth. Now, if you're not using a 529 plan because your student is already in college, you might actually be leaving some money on the table. So if your state offers a state income tax deduction on those contributions, you're better off making a contribution to the plan and then paying the tuition bill from the plan instead of just cutting a check. Now, there are some common misconceptions that need to be addressed when it comes to 529 plans because these plans are far more flexible than people tend to believe. So let's start off with the levels of education that are qualified for 529 plans. So thanks in large part to the 2018 tax rules that came into effect, you can now use 529 plan dollars for grades K through 12 in addition to undergraduate, graduate, vocational, and trade education. So really no limits on what levels of education you can use a 529 plan for. So in addition to be able to use these funds for practically every level of education, you can also participate in any state's plan. So if your state doesn't offer a plan, or if you feel like another state's plan is better than your state's plan, by all means, use a different state's plan. Just be mindful of the fact that you might be forfeiting a state income tax deduction by not contributing to your state's plan. Now, not only can you use any state's plan to save, but you can also use these dollars across any institution in the country and even some international programs. So a great deal of flexibility as far as where these dollars can be used. Now, if you're concerned with over-contributing to a 529 plan because you don't know if or where your child or children are going to go to school in the next 2 years or 15 years, the plans allow you to change the beneficiary at any time. So if your first child or student goes to school and doesn't use all of the money, you can change that beneficiary to be the next student or even somebody else within your family so those dollars can be used in the best way possible. So while 529 plans offer great tax benefits and flexibility, it is important to note that not all 529 plans are created equal. So we're going to point out some of the considerations that you should have in the back of your mind as you consider the right plan for your goals. Now, on the state level, states can actually sponsor multiple plans, and Illinois is a great example of that. So Illinois actually sponsors a broker-sold plan called Bright Directions and a direct-to-consumer plan called Bright Start. Now, one of the biggest differences in these plans are going to be the fees because one is broker-sold while the other is not. So for example, if in Bright Directions we were investing in a age-based strategy for ages 0 to 2 years old, that strategy would cost anywhere between 0.60% and 1.15% every single year just to own that strategy, depending on the share class of the mutual funds that you were sold. Now, if we compare that to the Bright Start plan that is direct to consumer, the annual fee for that same age-based strategy for ages 0 to 2 years old are 0.12% per year. Now we're talking anywhere between 5 and 10 times the amount in annual fees for essentially the same strategy, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Now you might be asking yourself, why would anyone choose to use the broker-sold plan instead of the direct-to-consumer plan? Well, we ask ourselves that very same question. Now, because 529 plans are such a great way to save for education, you'll see banks and broker-dealers create their own 529 plans as a way to drive up assets under management and to push more funds into their proprietary funds. So yes, they're more expensive, as you might already imagine, but you might also be sacrificing the state income tax deductions because these are not state-sponsored plans. So we covered some great information on 529 plans, then we should circle back on some key takeaways for you to have for yourselves going forward. So first and foremost, great tax efficiencies built within the 529 plan. You can use these dollars for any qualified education expenses, not just for college. You can change the beneficiary of the plan at any time. If you don't like your state's plan, you can use another plan. Just be mindful of any state income tax deductions that you might be forfeiting. There's an opportunity to use these plans even if your student's already in college. And to truly maximize your keep an eye out for state-sponsored plans that are direct to consumer versus broker sold or financial institution plans. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I look forward to seeing any questions and comments you might have to share. Thanks for taking the time to tune in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.